Hello everyone, and welcome to another random bits and pieces segment from my brain. And today, sit a while, for we are playing some more Franchise Hockey Manager 6 as part of the Ottawa Senators. So there are only 3 games left in the 2002-2003 regular season, and the Ottawa Senators are heading to the playoffs, as we are assured to finish first in the East. And as I mentioned at the end of the last episode, it looks like we're going to be facing the Leafs. It's not a guarantee, but it sure looks that way. So we are going to go ahead and get through those 3 games, and then we are going to go through the playoffs and see if the Sens can repeat. Do we have a dynasty on our hands here? Let's find out. Alright, so the first game here in April is going to be against Boston. We finally won our last game against Boston, but prior to that we lost the first 3 of the season. Boston is 33, 39, and 7. They will not be a part of the playoffs. They don't have any chances of catching the Leafs, so no playoffs for Boston. They are 10th in the East. So let's go ahead here and see. So Thomas Vokoun is going to be in net for Boston. We're going to go to Tim Thomas. And we won 3-0. So we're starting the month with a shutout. Always a great way to start a month. Let's see here. We did outshoot Boston 51-18. Joe Thornton was the first star of this game. He had a goal and an assist. Sheldon Surrey was the second star with an assist. And Patrick Eliash was the third star with a goal. 12,917 people in attendance. Patrick Eliash scored 10 seconds into the game. Assisted by Joe Thornton and Sheldon Surrey. It was 1-0 Sens after 1. And then Joe Thornton scored in the second from Marian Hossa and Derek Morris. That made it 2-0 Sens after 2. And then in the third period, Matt Cunnin scored from Nicholas Avlid and Bill Guerin. And 3-0 was the final score against the Bruins. Oh, Tsiblikov is available. Not going to pick him up. Scott Niedermayer has achieved 600 points in his career with an assist against Toronto. Eugene Melnyk is unhappy with my work, even though we went 11-2-1 in March. I guess Eugene prefers money over winning. Alright, and tomorrow we are playing another game. Suspension over for Tommy Pettinen in Anaheim. Back from suspension. Looks like Derek Morris is hurt. Alright, so we are about to play the Washington Capitals in Washington. They are 30, 46, and 4, good for 12th in the East. We are 3-0 against the Caps this season. And we're going to send Tim Thomas in net. They are going to go with Olaf Kolzig. And we won 5-1. We outshot Washington 62-16. Daniel Alfredson was the first star of that game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Pavel Datsyuk was the second star with 2 assists. And Zdeno Chara was the third star with an assist. Let's see. Marian also opened up the scoring in the first period on the power play from Patrick Eliash and Joe Thornton. Then Washington actually tied the game. It was tied at 1 after 1. Then we scored twice in the second period. Marian Hossa scored short-handed from Zdeno Chara and Daniel Alfredson. Then Daniel Alfredson from Pavel Datsyuk. 3-1 the score after 2. And then we scored 2 more times in the third period. Sheldon Surrey scored from Pavel Datsyuk and Daniel Alfredson. And then Adam Denmarsh from Mike Salinger. 5-1 the final score. So Denmarsh has been putting up a couple points. Not that many, but A little bit. Chris Phillips improves at right defense. Good for you. Alright, and the last game of the season is going to be against the Leafs. Good game for Scott Niedermayer, who had a hat-trick against the Bruins. 3 goals. Pretty good. Alright, Derek Morris and Alexei Yashin are on their way back. Steve Staios' suspension ends with the Rangers back in the lineup. Derek Morris is ready. Yashin not just quite. Alright. Alright, so we are playing the Leafs. They are 39, 33, and 9. Good for 8 in the East. Yep, that's going to be our matchup for the first round, just as I predicted. We are 3-0 against the Leafs so far this year, playing in Toronto right now. So this is a little bit of a preview of what's to come in the playoffs here. So Tim Thomas is going to be in net for us. For Toronto, it's going to be Jean-Sébastien Giguère. And we won 4-3. We outshot Toronto 42-19. Joe Thornton was the first star. He had a goal and 2 assists. Brad Boyes was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Zdeno Chara was the third star with a goal and an assist as well. Joe Thornton scored first in the first period on the power play from Chara and Datsuk. Then Chara scored on the power play from Joe Thornton and Sheldon Surrey. And then Toronto tied the game in the second with 2 goals. So it was tied at 2 after 2. Then Patrick Elias scored from Pavel Datsuk and Marian Hossa. It was 3-2. And then Toronto tied the game. It was tied at 3. And then, wow, Daniel Alfredson scored with 1 second left to go in regulation from Kara Rakunek and Joe Thornton. And 4-3 was our final score. Not that it changed much of anything in the standings for Toronto, but that's a killer. Alright, Darren McCarty, Yeri Karalati, Jocelyn Thibault, and Brian Holzinger. I am not picking up anybody. Red light stays on for Mario Lemieux, who had 3 goals and an assist against Washington to finish the season. Pretty good. Alright, did everybody play all of their games? No, there are a few games left to be played, and I believe that it's over now. Alright, so one thing I want to check is, did we win the scoring race with Joe Thornton? We did. 102 points, the only 100-point getter for Joe Thornton. The second closest one was Mario Lemieux with 96. So we did it. Sheldon Surrey finished at plus 75. Wow. Alright, I'd say we're probably ready for the playoffs. Oh, Radim Bysanic is available. Alright, let's... Alright, Yashin's about to come back. Michael Holmquist loves his fans. Oh, that's the pizza thing. Alright, so Michael Holmquist playing for Anaheim gave people pizza over there. And people were happy. Oh, alright, all of the nominees. So for the art, we have Joe Sakic, Nick Lidstrom, and Rod Brindamore. No Joe Thornton for the art, despite, having 102 points. For the Vizina, we have Chris Osgood, Jamie McLennan, and Mike Richter. Wow. Somebody needs to phone Jamie McLennan and let them know that in some alternate universe, he's a Vizina trophy candidate. The Norris is going to be between Nick Lidstrom, Sheldon Surrey, and Zdeno Chara, so we have 2 chances out of 3 to win that one. Calder is going to be between Duncan Keith, Jay Boomister, and Marian Gaborik. Duncan Keith had 40 points, Boomister had 39, and Gaborik had 39. Huh. Interesting. Probably Duncan Keith, I would say. GM of the Year finalists are Bob Gainey in Montreal, Doug Riseborough in Calgary, and Glenn Sater in Edmonton. I am not even nominated for that. The Selkie is going to be between Pascal Réaume in Montreal, Pavel Datsyuk for us, and Rod Brennemore in Philly. Lady Bing between Brad Richards, Milan Hayduk, and Petteri Nummelin. The Mark Messier Leadership Award between Joe Nieuwendyk, Kelly Buchberger, and Theo Fleury. Ted Lindsay between Joe Sakic, Nick Lidstrom, and Pavel Datsyuk. And the Jack Adams is going to be between Brian Murray, Jacques Demers, and Randy Carlyle. Alright, so I believe we should have the playoff 3. No, we don't. Oh, we will when I see the games listed here. There you go. Let's take a look at the playoff 3 here. So in the West, we have Anaheim that's going to face Detroit in the first round. St. Louis is going to face Edmonton. Vancouver against Phoenix, and Columbus against Colorado. In the East, we already know that we are facing Toronto. So Toronto's our first matchup. New Jersey against Philadelphia. Buffalo against Tampa Bay. And Pittsburgh against Montreal. Alright. And Yashin is ready right on time. Perfect. Alright, so who do we send down? Chris Kelly, I guess. Alright, sorry, Chris Kelly, you've... we got our captain back, so... I'm sure you'll understand. Alright, about to face Toronto. As we know, we had pretty good success against them in the regular season. We went 4-1 against them. So, playing at home for the first round. Giguère in net for Toronto, and we're going to Tim Thomas. Alright, well, the playoffs are on their way, so go Sens go! Ooh, Toronto made us work for that one. We won, but in overtime, 3-2. Let's see. We outshot them 42-21. Brian McCabe was the first star. He had an assist. Patrick Travers, playing for Toronto, was a second star with an assist. And Mike Sellinger, a third star with an assist. We had 15,569 people in attendance. So Toronto scored first, and then Patrick Elias scored on the power play from Joe Thornton. It was tied at 1 after 1. Then in the second period, Toronto scored, made it 2-1. Then in the third, Alexei Yashin, we haven't seen that name in a while, scored, assisted by Brian McCabe. It was tied at 2. And then the heroics in overtime were performed by Nicholas Avlid, who scored the game winner from Martin Avlat and Mike Sellinger. Adam Foote is back in the lineup after serving his suspension in Colorado. They need him. Alright, so let's see. Phoenix won their first game 3-2. St. Louis won 3-1. Colorado won against Columbus. Detroit won against Anaheim. Montreal won against Pittsburgh. We won against Toronto. Tampa Bay won against Buffalo. And Philadelphia won against New Jersey. Not a lot of big scores. I mean, the biggest scores were 4-2. Alright. We are ready for Game 2 against Toronto. So Jean-Sébastien Giguère in net again against Tim Thomas. Oh, we won that one 8-1. We outshot Toronto 49-15. Zdeno Chara was the first star. He had 2 goals and an assist. Adam Denmarsh, second star with 2 goals and an assist. And Patrick Eliash, third star with 2 goals and an assist as well. 16,172 people in attendance for that one. Patrick Eliash scored 9 seconds into the first period, assisted by Joe Thornton. Then Adam Denmarsh scored from Brian McCabe and Alexei Yashin. It was 2-0 after 1. Then in the second, Chris Phillips made it 3-0 from Andreas Dakel and Pavel Datsyuk. And then Toronto scored, made it 3-1. But we scored twice more before the end of the second. Joe Thornton from Patrick Eliash and Marian Osa. And then Zdeno Chara from Bill Guerin and Sheldon Souris, 5-1 after 2. And 3 more goals in the third period. Adam Denmarsh from Chara and Yashin. And then Patrick Eliash from Joe Thornton and Marian Osa. And finally, Zdeno Chara from Adam Denmarsh. 8-1 is the final score. Good game for Marcus Naslund in Philadelphia. He had 4 goals, against the Devils. Alright, Vancouver won a game against Phoenix. Edmonton beat St. Louis. Colorado won again against Columbus. Detroit won again against Anaheim. Montreal won again against Pittsburgh. We trounced the Toronto Maple Leafs. Buffalo tied their series with a win. And Philadelphia won 5-1. Alright, we are moving this series into Toronto. Alright, Tim Thomas is going to be in net still for us. He's going to face Giguère. Ooh, we lost that one. We lost 5-4 in overtime. We outshot Toronto 46-24. Todd Marchand was the first star with 2 assists. Joe Thornton, second star with 2 assists. And Nick Antropov was the third star with a goal. So we took a 3-0 lead into the first period, so they showed some resilience there. Patrick Eliash scored 29 seconds into the first period from Pavel Datsyuk and Sheldon Souris. Then Daniel Alfredson from Joe Thornton and Magnus Arvidsson. Pavel Datsyuk from Marian Osa and Sheldon Souris, 3-0 after 1. Then Toronto scored once in the second period, made it 3-1. Then they scored again, made it 3-2. And then Brian McCabe scored from Joe Thornton and Derek Morris, made it 4-2 in the third. Then Brad Boyes and Martin Gélina scored, tied the game at 4. That went to overtime, and Nick Antropov played the hero. At 3:59 of the first period of overtime. And 5-4 was the final score. We are leading that series 2-1. Vancouver won against Phoenix. Edmonton won against St. Louis. Colorado took a 3-0 lead in their series. Anaheim surprised Detroit 3-0. Montreal took a 3-0 lead in their series. Tampa Bay won and Philadelphia won. Alright, so playing Toronto yet again. Same goaltenders, Thomas and Giguère. We won that one 3-1. Alright, we outshot Toronto 59-24. Brian McCabe was the first star of this game. He had 2 assists. Brian Boyes was the second star with a goal. And Bill Guerin was the third star with a goal and an assist. Bill Guerin opened up the scoring in the first period from Derek Morris and Brian McCabe, and then Marian Osa scored from Joe Thornton, 2-0 after 1. Then Toronto scored a goal in the second period, made it 2-1. And then we scored in the third. Alexei Yashin from Bill Guerin and Brian McCabe, 3-1 was the final score. We are leading the series 3-1 as well. All right. Vancouver won against Phoenix. St. Louis won against Edmonton. Colorado won against Columbus. Detroit won against Anaheim. Pittsburgh avoided elimination with a win. Tampa Bay won, and New Jersey is still alive as well. All right. Are we going to be able to eliminate the Leafs at home? All right. Giguère and Thomas in net as usual. And we won 41. This series is over, sorry. And we won 41. We outshot them 32-19. Pavel Datsyuk was the first star. He had a goal and an assist. Andreas Dackl was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Karel Rakunik was the third star with a goal. 14,876 people in attendance. Patrick Elias. Looks like Elias likes to score really early in games because he scored 23 seconds into this game from Sheldon Sorey and Joe Thornton, made it 1-0. Then in the second period, Karel Rakunik scored short-handed from Marian Hossa, made it 2-0. In the third, Datsyuk from Alfredson and Dackl made it 3-0, and then Dackl from Datsyuk made it 4-0. And Toronto scored a goal, but it was too little too late, and they got eliminated. And we're moving on. Strong game for Brett Hull, who had 3 goals and 2 assists against Edmonton in their series. Brett Hull is now 38 years old, and he's a 3-star player. All right, who are we going to face? Strong night for Sean Horkoff, who had a hat-trick 3 goals against St. Louis. Ooh, Pittsburgh is still alive. Are they going to come back and eliminate Montreal? You all know I would love that. Nope. And Montreal is our next... I don't like that we're facing the Habs every year. Too much stress. Ugh. Alright, so Montreal is going to be our second round matchup. Let's take a look at the 3 here. So St. Louis got over Edmonton, so they're going to face Detroit, and Vancouver is going to face Colorado. And in the East, we have us against Montreal and Tampa Bay against Philadelphia. Interesting. Alright, so one thing I didn't do before we played the Leafs is I didn't look at their roster. I'm going to look at the Montreal roster now. Let's take a look to see if they have any injuries. They do. They have Patrice Brisebois and Eric Desjardins that are hurt. Those are 2 good defensemen. Hopefully we can capitalize on the fact that those are not in the lineup. So Patrick Roy and Dwayne Rawson in net, that's pretty solid. No problem there. Beauchemin, Markov, Schneider, Vasiliev, Jovanovski, Tremblay, Andy. Yeah, even with those injuries, their D is pretty strong. Berezin, Danfus, Dopita, Leclerc, Savage, Stephen Weiss, Brilin, Koivu, Réaume, Todd White, Bourré, Ribeiro, Thornton, Zoltak, and Michael Ryder. Yeah, they have a good team. They can beat us if they want to. So Patrick Roy is going to be in net for the Montreal Canadiens, of course, and we're going to go with some Thomas. And we lost 4-3 in overtime. That's not good. We outshot Montreal 45-27. François Beauchemin was the first star of the game. He had 2 assists. Pavel Datsyuk was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Mike Ribeiro, 2 goals, third star. 19,735 people in attendance. And we lost. So Montreal scored first in the first period. Then Pavel Datsyuk tied the game on the power play from Marian Hossa. It was tied at 1 after 1. Then Montreal took a 3-1 lead into the second before Andreas Dacko scored from Karel Rakunek and Daniel Alfredson 3-2 after 2. Sheldon Surrey made everybody in Ottawa happy with a goal with 2:25 to go in the third period, assisted by Datsuk and Zdeno Chara. Game went to overtime, but in the second overtime, 3 minutes in, Mike Ribeiro scored, and that was it. That's not good. No further action needed for Colorado's Lawrence Nicollet, not suspended. Oh, Vancouver beat Colorado, Detroit beat St. Louis, and Philadelphia beat Tampa Bay. Alright, playing Montreal again, at home again, and we need a win. Alright, Patrick Roy against Tim Thomas again. Alright, we won that one, 5-2, series tied at 1. We outshot Montreal 37-24. Pavel Datsuk, first star with a goal and an assist. Joe Thornton, second star with 2 assists. And Daniel Alfredson, third star with a goal and an assist. 19,489 people in attendance. Nobody scored in the first period. Then Andreas Dacko scored at the start of the second from Alfredson and Thornton. Then Datsuk from Morris and Patrick Eliash, and Matt Cullen from Karel Rakunek. It was 3-0 Sens after 2. Then Montreal scored a little bit past the midway mark in the third, made it 3-1. Then Marian Osa scored from Datsuk and Eliash, made it 4-1. Danfou scored 42 seconds later, made it 4-2, but then with 52 seconds to go in the game, in an empty net, Daniel Alfredson scored from Niklas Avlid and Joe Thornton, 5-2 the final score. And Yashin is hurt again, this time only for 4 days, though. A bruised hand. Alright, I guess we can play Fisher or Arvidsson. Alright. Now we are playing in Montreal. Let's win this. Tim Thomas in net for us. Patrick Roy in net for Montreal. Ooh, we won that one 7-2. Take that, Montreal fans, in your building. 54 shots on goal for the Ottawa Senators. 25 for the Montreal Canadiens. Marian Osa was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Pavel Datsuk, second star with a goal and 2 assists. And Patrick Eliash, third star with a goal and an assist as well. So Montreal took a 1-0 lead into the first, then Marian Osa tied the game from Pavel Datsuk and Niklas Avlid, and then Montreal scored again. It was actually 2-1 Montreal after 1. The fans were probably singing their ole, 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 ole. But then the Sens came back in the second period and scored 4 goals. So the first one by Bill Guerin from Adam Denmarsh and Derek Morris. Then Patrick Eliash from Marian Osa. Brian McCabe scored from Derek Morris and Pavel Datsuk. And then Datsuk from Patrick Eliash and Marian Osa. 5-2 after 2. There were no more ole, ole, ole in the building. And then in the third period, Joe Thornton scored on the power play from Brian McCabe and Bill Guerin. And finally, Magnus Arvidsson scored from Sheldon Surrey, made it 7-2. And then the Sens were up 2-1 in the series. And Vancouver won, St. Louis won, Philadelphia won. Oh, I have to select a Hall of Fame nominee. Okay. Who do I want to nominate? Brent Sutter or Dean Prentice? I guess Brent Sutter. I'm not voting for Ken Linsman, the rat. Alright, about to play the Montreal Canadiens. In Montreal again. We can take a serious option on the series here with a win. Thomas and Roy net again. And we won 3-1, so Montreal played better defense, but we still managed to squeeze in the win. 49-17 were the shots in our favor. Joe Thornton was the first star. He had a goal and 2 assists. Eric Desjardins was the second star, despite not scoring any points. And Pavel Datsyuk was the third star with an assist. Montreal scored first 10 seconds into the game. Wow. But then Bill Guerin 10 minutes later scored on the power play from Adam Denmarsh and Joe Thornton. It was tied at 1 after 1. And then in the third period, we ran away with the win. Marianosa scored from Zdeno Chara and Joe Thornton, and Joe Thornton from Pavel Datsyuk. 3-1 was the final score. Uh-oh. Brian McCabe is hurt for 6 months. Ruptured Achilles. Oh, that's not good. We already have Volchenkov out. Oh boy, who are we calling back as emergency? I guess Sami Salo. Wow. We didn't need that. We did not. Colorado won, Detroit won, we won, Philadelphia won. Alright, we might be able to eliminate Montreal here. Alright, Patrick Watson Thomas, go Sens go. And we won 4-1. We are making it to the Eastern Finals. We outshot Montreal 51-16. Marianosa was the first star. He had a goal and an assist. Pavel Datsyuk was the second star with a goal and an assist as well. And then Zdeno Chara was the third star with an assist. We had 17,215 people in attendance to watch Montreal get eliminated. Although I know for a fact that in Ottawa, a lot of those fans were Canadian fans in the stands. They still witnessed it anyway. Alright, so Montreal scored first, but then Marianosa scored his 5th of the playoffs 10 minutes later from Pavel Datsyuk and Patrick Elias. It was tied at 1 after 1. Then Pavel Datsyuk scored from Marianosa. It was 2-1 after 2. Then Daniel Alfredson from Chris Phillips and Joe Thornton, and Alexei Yashin from Zdeno Chara and Mike Salinger. 4-1 the final score. And the final series score as well. We won. Detroit trounced St. Louis 9-1, and Colorado won 3-1 against Vancouver. Yashin is almost completely healed. It was a minor injury. And Colorado has eliminated Vancouver. Which means that, unless I'm mistaken, we are facing the Flyers in the Eastern Conference Finals, and it's going to be Colorado and Detroit in the West. Yep. So is there going to be the same matchup in the Stanley Cup Finals? Is it going to be Detroit against Ottawa again? I don't know. Let's see. Maybe Jamie McLennan is going to get rid of us. A couple of years ago, we eliminated him from the first round. I forgot to check their lineup. We'll check the lineup after. Well, yeah. Let's see. We can see the lineup here. So McLennan, Shields in net. That's all right. Willie Mitchell, Modry, Trinka, Drew Bannister, Mickey Dupont, Eric Weinrich on D. That's okay. Matt Cook, Simon Gagné, Marcus Naslund, Martin St. Louis, Justin Williams, Rod Brennamore, Rick Lindros, Darcy Tucker, Rick Gerard, Mark Recchi, Mikael Renberg, and Damian Zubros. Wow, that offense is pretty good. They're going to give us a run for it for sure. Alright, Jamie McLennan in net for Philadelphia. We're going to Tim Thomas. Jamie McLennan has a 950 save percentage in those playoffs. This is ridiculous. But we won 5-1. We outshot Philadelphia 47-17. Pavel Datsyuk was the first star. He had a goal and 2 assists. Patrick Elias was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Marian Hossa was the third star with a goal and an assist as well. We had 18,276 people in attendance. Philadelphia scored first, and then it was all us. So Pavel Datsyuk scored from Marian Hossa and Patrick Elias. Then Patrick Elias from Sami Salo and Pavel Datsyuk. It was 2-1 Sens after 1. Then Sami Salo scored from Adam Denmarsh and Mike Salinger, 3-1. Then Marian Hossa on the power play from Pavel Datsyuk and Joe Thornton. And finally, Chris Phillips shorthanded from Matt Cullen. 5-1 was the final score. And the Suns take a 1-0 lead into the series. And Detroit took a 1-0 lead as well with a 3-1 win against Colorado. Alright. So we saw their lineup. We didn't see if they had any injuries. They don't. They are really healthy. Jamie McLennan is probably the best half-star goaltender I have ever seen in this game. That's crazy. He's pulling some ridiculously good stats. Alright, Jamie McLennan, Tim Thomas in net again. Second game, we're up 1-0 in the series, and we won 2-1. We outshot Philadelphia 36-23. Marian Hossa was the first star of the game with a goal and an assist. Drew Bannister for Philadelphia was the second star with an assist. And Pavel Datsyuk was the third star with 2 assists. We had 17,461 people in attendance. Philadelphia scored first in the first period. Martin St. Louis scored. And then it was 1-0 all the way into the third period. Then Marian Hossa tied the game from Sheldon Souray and Pavel Datsyuk, and Zdeno Chara, a minute and 34 seconds later, played the hero with the game winner, assisted by Hossa and Pavel Datsyuk. It was 2-1, and that was the final score. Oh, Avlid is going to be playing hurt, huh? Detroit won 4-3, so they are also up 2-0 in their series. Alright, we are now moving this series into Philadelphia. Tim Thomas, Jamie McLennan. Oh, we lost that one 2-1. So we are leading 2-1 now. We outshot them 26-22. Drew Bannister was the first star. He had a goal and an assist. Pavel Datsyuk was the second star with a goal. And Matt Cook, third star with an assist. Alright, so Philadelphia took the lead in the second period. It was 1-0 after 2. Then Eric Lindros scored late into the third period, made it 2-0. Pavel Datsyuk scored from Joe Thornton and Sheldon Souray, but there were only 14 seconds left into the game. It was too little too late. We couldn't tie the game. Forgot to check. Forgot to check who won. Oh, Colorado won as well, so that series is 2-1 as well. Alright, playing in Philly again. Same goaltenders. And we lost 7-4. Ouch. Series tied at 2. We were outshot 43-28 in this game. Mikael Renberg was the first star. He had 2 assists. Marcus Naslund was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Simon Gagner, third star with 2 goals. Let's see. So we scored first. Mariano Osa scored from Sheldon Souray and Pavel Datsyuk. Then Bill Guerin scored on the power play from Zdeno Chara and Alexei Yashin. Then Philadelphia scored. We scored. It was Mariano Osa from Patrick Eliash and Joe Thornton. Then Philadelphia scored again. We were up 3-2 after 1. Then in the second, Philadelphia scored 3 goals. It was 5-3 Philadelphia after 2. Then they made it all the way to 7-3 in the third. Then Sheldon Souray scored short-handed from Matt Cullen and Mariano Osa, but we were down 3 with 4:21 to go into the game. That was too much. We couldn't come back. Detroit did win, so they are up 3-1. We're tied at 2 against Philadelphia. I don't like it. Alright, back at home. The home team has won every game so far. McLennan and Thomas in net for their respective teams. And we won 5-2, so we're up 3-2 now. We outshot them 49-20. Patrick Eliash had a goal and 2 assists and was named the first star of the game. Pavel Datsyuk was the second star with 2 goals, and Mariano Osa was the third star with an assist. 18,454 people in attendance. Philadelphia scored first, then we tied the game. Matt Cullen from Avlid and Sillinger. Then Philadelphia scored again. It was 2-1 Flyers after 1. Then we scored twice in the second period. Sheldon Souray from Zdeno Chara and Joe Thornton. And then Pavel Datsyuk from Patrick Eliash and Mariano Osa. 3-2 Sens after 2. And then we scored 2 more goals into the third period. Patrick Eliash from Chris Phillips and Derek Morris. And Pavel Datsyuk is 10th of the playoffs from Patrick Eliash and Chris Phillips. 5-2 was the final score. And now we're up 3-2. And the winner of our series is going to face the Detroit Red Wings in the Stanley Cup Finals. Alright, so if we win here, it's going to be us. Thomas and McLennan again. And we won 6-1. So we are going to the Stanley Cup Finals for the second year in a row. Now, are we going to win the Cup for a second year in a row? God, I hope so. So we outshot Philadelphia 35-24. Sheldon Souray was the first star of this game. He had a hat-trick, 3 goals. Mariano Osa was the second star with a goal and 2 assists. And Patrick Eliash was the third star with 2 assists. So we took a 4-0 lead into the first period. And then I bet the arena in Philadelphia was really quiet after that. So first was Sheldon Souray from Patrick Eliash and Mariano Osa. Then Pavel Datsyuk from Daniel Alfredson, and then Alexei Yashin. And then Mariano Osa is 10th from Eliash and Datsyuk. It was 4-0 after 1. Then Sheldon Souray scored his 5th from Zdeno Chara and Mariano Osa. It was 5-0 after 2. Then Sheldon Souray completed his hat trick late in the third from Yashin and Guerin. It was 6-0, and then with 14 seconds to go in the third period, Mikael Renberg prevented Tim Thomas from getting a shutout by scoring a pointless goal. Philadelphia is eliminated from the 2002-2003 playoffs, and it's going to be the Ottawa Senators against the Detroit Red Wings in the Stanley Cup Final. Yes, I know that Souray had a hat trick. I was there. Alright, Of course, Detroit is really good, so it's not going to be easy. Alright, so before playing game 1, and we split the season series, 1 game apiece, we are starting on the road for that one because Detroit had 8 more points than us. Alright, do you have any injuries? No, nothing to help us. So Chris Osgood and Marty Turco in net, that's pretty good. Joe Corvo, Nick Lidstrom, Dan McGillis, Curtis Crashtons, Jason Kurtz, I think his name is. Bikov, Cronwall, Aaron Miller. Vyacheslav Kozlov, Zetterberg, Avery, Sean Podine. Doug Dole, Fyodorov, Yale, Eiserman, Drake, Ray Ferraro, Brad Chartrand, Oleg Petrov, and Toby Peterson. That's a pretty good team. But you know what? We have a good team too. We just have a couple injuries on D, though. Tim Thomas, Chris Osgood, go Sens go. And we won the first game 3-1. Took a 1-0 lead into the Stanley Cup final. 36-26 the shots in our favor. Pavel Datsyuk was the first star. He had 2 assists. Vyacheslav Kozlov, second star with an assist. And Patrick Eliash was the third star with 2 assists. Detroit scored first in the first period, and then Marian Hossa scored from Pavel Datsyuk and Patrick Eliash. Made it 1-1. And before the period was over, Bill Guerin scored his 5th on the power play from Adam Denmarsh. It was 2-1 Sens after 2. Oh, that was all into the second period, I'm sorry. Not in the first, I didn't see it there. And then into the third period, Chris Phillips scored from Pavel Datsyuk and Patrick Eliash. 3-1 Sens after 3. 1-0 series lead. Alright, we can really hurt them with a win here, because that's going to completely negate their home ice advantage. Alright, game 2. Tim Thomas, Chris Osgood, go Sens go. Oh, we lost 6-1. That's a couple of stinkers that Thomas had in the playoffs. Shots were even at 37 apiece. Nick Cronwall was the first star. He had 2 goals. Chris Osgood was the second star with 36 saves. And Nick Lidstrom was the third star with 2 assists. Detroit scored first into the first period. And then they took a 3-0 lead into the second. And then Pavel Datsyuk scored from Marian Hossa. Made it 3-1. We still had hopes after 2. But Detroit scored 3 times in the third period, and they gave us a pretty good beating here. Alright, series tied at 1. We are now moving in Ottawa, so we are hosting the Red Wings. Chris Osgood, Tim Thomas, go Sens go yet again. Oh, we won that one 4-0. We outshot Detroit 26-22. Sheldon Surrey was the first star. He had an assist. Joe Thornton was the second star with 2 goals. And Daniel Alfredson was the third star with an assist. We had 17,596 people attending this Stanley Cup final matchup. Alexei Yashin was the first to score a goal in this game. It was his 5th from Sheldon Surrey and Patrick Eliash. Then in the second period, Joe Thornton scored on the power play from Adam Denmarsh, and Matt Cullen scored from Mike Salinger, made it 3-0. Then in the third period, Joe Thornton scored his fifth from Daniel Alfredson and Andreas Dackel, 4-0 Sens, and we took a 2-1 lead into the series. Are we going to win the cup again? Alright, we're up 2-1. A little stressful here. Osgood Thomas. And we won 5-2. We are 1 win away from winning the cup for a second year in a row. Let's see, we outshot Detroit 39-33 in that one. Joe Thornton was the first star, he had a goal and 2 assists. Marian Osa was the second star with a goal. Andreas Dackel, the third star with a goal and an assist. 17,678 people in attendance to see us take a 3-1 lead in this Stanley Cup final. Alright, so Dackel scored from Mike Selinger and Joe Thornton, then Marian Osa from Patrick Eliash and Pavel Datsuk. It was 2-0 Sens after 1. Then Sheldon Surrey scored from Andreas Dackel and Joe Thornton, made it 3-0. Detroit scored, then it was 3-1. Then we took a 5-1 lead. Thornton on the power play from Yashin, and then Alfredson from Surrey and Cullen. It was 5-1, and then Detroit scored with 3 minutes and something to go into the third period, but 5-2 was the final score. Magnus Arvidsson is hurt for 5 months. Wow. Alright, I guess I am recalling Chris Kelly then. Come on, Chris Kelly. Come play in the Stanley Cup Finals. There might only be 1 game left. I don't know if you're going to play it or not. Maybe not. Don't be upset if you don't. Enjoy the experience. Alright, so that might be the last game of this video, of this season. Alright, Tim Thomas, Chris Osgood. Alright, a win gives us a second Stanley Cup in a row. That would be pretty amazing. Alright, I'm clicking on the button now. And we won the Stanley Cup again. Woo! Oh yeah. It has happened, so we may be at the start of a little dynasty here. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen again, but we won 5-2, and we ran away with the Stanley Cup. Well, not ran away, it's pretty heavy, but we got the cup again. So Joe Thornton was the first star of that game. He had 3 assists. Zdeno Chara was the second star with 2 assists, and Adam Denmarsh was the third star with a goal and an assist. We outshot them 38-25. Daniel Alfredson opened up the scoring in the first. It's 5th from Joe Thornton and Andreas Dackel. Then Cronwall tied the game into the second. Then Denmarsh scored on the power play from Chara and Thornton. It was 2-1 Sens after 2. Then we took a 4-1 lead. Selinger scored his first from Chris Kelly. Woohoo! Welcome to the Stanley Cup Finals, buddy. And Derek Morris. Then Sheldon Surrey from Chara and Thornton. It was 4-1. Detroit then scored, made it 4-2, and Bill Guerin sealed the deal in an empty net from Yashin and Denmarsh. 5-2 was the final score. What a story. Yeah, it's okay that he's day-to-day. We actually won the cup. I think, didn't we? Yep. Alright, so I'm gonna go through all of this here, and then that's gonna be the end of this video. So I'm pretty happy. I know I am not the most expressive person in the world. I'm pretty happy. We won again. I do have a really solid team, and I'm starting to worry a little bit about the salary cap era. It's coming. So I might have to make some very tough choices. I mean, I already had to let Bill Guerin go and Mike Dunham and everything, so I'm already starting to kind of shed salary and everything, but it's going to be tough to maintain this kind of team with, first of all, Eugene Melnick, who's going to be pissed that I'm spending money, and then the salary cap is right around the corner, so it's going to be probably really challenging here in a few years, so let's enjoy this success while we have it. Senators triumphant takes the Stanley Cup. Oh, yes, we did. Got rid of them in 5 games that didn't take 7 this year. Outstanding season Nets Art Trophy for Joe Sakic. Okay, Joe Thornton says, what about me? Outstanding year, the Nets Connie Smythe Trophy for Pavel Datsyuk. So Datsyuk won the Connie Smythe. Chris Osgood wins the Vezina. Zdeno Chara won the Norris. So Ottawa Senator Zdeno Chara is a Norris Trophy winner. Sorry. Jay Boomister actually wins the Calder. I thought that Duncan Keith would win it, but they gave it to Boomister. Glenn Saylor takes home the GM of the Year award. The Selkie goes to Pascal Riome. I think that Pavel Datsyuk got robbed. Maurice Richard goes to Jaromir Jagr. He scored the most goals. How many did he score? 43. The Artros goes to Joe Thornton. As we know, he was the only one with more than 100 points. Sheldon Surrey wins the Plus Minus Award. As we know, he was at plus 75. Reinhard Divis in Nashville wins the Roger Crozier Saving Grace Award winner with a 934 save percentage. Wow. Osgood brings the Jennings to Detroit. The Lady Bing is won by Brad Richards. Mario Lemieux wins the Bill Masterton. Yeah, he had only played 10 games the season before, so yeah, that makes sense. Mark Messier Leadership Award goes to Joni Wendyke, former Ottawa Senator. Ted Lindsay goes to Joe Sakic. Brian Murray wins the Jack Adams. Ooh. So we have 3 players that made the first NHL, the first All-Star team: Zdeno Chara, Sheldon Surrey, and Marian Hossa. And then we have Pavel Datsyuk that made the second team. Somehow, Joe Thornton didn't make either, despite having 102 points. Alright, well that was another fun video. It's always fun when the video ends with a Stanley Cup. A lot shorter than the one where I won the first cup. That one was an hour and 45 minutes. I was pretty beat after that. Believe it or not, doing videos like that can be a little bit taxing, especially after a day of work and everything. But it's all fun and it's all good. So, well, we might have a dynasty on our hands. It's going to be fun for sure to figure it out as we go. So I'm going to go ahead and save my game, and you know the drill. I want to thank you for being here. Without you, I'm not doing those. And if you've liked the video, feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that good stuff. And until I roll this game again, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.